Screening review, Gaza, doctors under attack. This is an intensely depressing screening to talk about, let alone actually attending it. Informative it absolutely was, although I'm not sure whether it is really good for my mental health. I would want to be an awareness of the grave injustices occurring in our world, and enabled in part by my government, and a government I fucking voted for no less. I do appreciate being around like-minded people who see through the creepy gaslighting of segments, or all of the mainstream media, and certain just weirdos out there in the wider public. Though in Sydney, they are really a seldom few, thankfully. And I like paying for screenings which go to a cause I consider good and noble. This screening was doubly enriched by the presence of Dr. Samar Jabbar, who was interviewed and in discussion with Dr. Sarah Abdo, and a subsequent Q&A with the gathered audience. Dr. Jabbar is a psychiatrist, author, and human rights activist who was born in Jerusalem and has conducted much of her work there in that region. Her book, Radiance in Pain and Resilience, was published earlier this year, and her attendance at this screening was part of a wider tour she is currently embarking upon, this being part of its Australian wing. Sarah Abdo is a consultant endocrinologist based in Sydney and did a very brilliant job of asking highly insightful questions of Dr. Jabbar. It was an extremely saddening yet enriching evening for all. It got quite emotional, but at least there is an assurance that we all stand for each other in a very uncaring world that we all still thought would be better than this. This is the time for an unequivocal condemnation of the actions of Israel's government. I don't care how much you think Hamas is a vile entity worth utterly destroying. I felt this way too, very briefly at one time, and these feelings were completely replaced by an incensed horror at what Israel was committing to in response to the still not at all justified gruesome atrocity of October 7th. Has this ever been cause to not criticize American behavior in, say, Afghanistan because 9/11 was just so bad, but it rendered all condemnations of America's retribution to be in some way moot? I was frustrated to witness a YouTuber who I sometimes like, the extraordinary drummer Andy Edwards, expressed great doubt as to the pro-Israeli narrative in one video he uploaded to a side channel, and then go back on quite a lot of that in another video, after he claimed he received an email from a young IDF officer who tried to justify their nation's aggression, seemingly because another soldier friend of his had died, and another became paralyzed due to a tripwire building which they entered. Proof that, oh, we're not bombing all the buildings, some we were ordered to enter. Firstly, blame your government for ordering you to do that. We're not still blaming the Viet Cong more than the US government for dead young Americans, are we? And secondly, I don't want to go here too much, but someone may have been noticing that this popular music channel Andy Edwards was claiming to be more generally pro-Israel. From my own perspective, I could be wrong, and he had expressed more nuance across his many uploaded videos than I realised, and ordered an underling clerk of theirs to concoct some story for him to get back on spewing their preferred narrative. I wouldn't put it past the propaganda department of the United States or his little satellite state, Israel. This same email had apparently also accused all pro-Palestine, critical of Israel media available to us as being funded by that big, all-accessing, uber-powerful nation of Qatar. Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm someone who thinks people take the accusations of Israeli power and influence way, way, way too far. I'm certainly not going to believe that a nation of the Muslim world has the comparable power of Israel, which is to say, its big stepdaddy, the United States, and some uncles in Western Europe, has the power to just play 4D chess upon the eyes of the internet browsing world. Those Edwards videos in particular are off the cuff and unscripted. I don't want to be too critical of any statements made in a video of that nature. And Edwards claims he's being a bit of a character some of the time, but that I'm just joking and playing a character in order to share some of my controversial or quite obnoxious beliefs, usually in regard to looking down upon, say, punk-inspired acts in lieu of some prog or fusion virtuosity, which, if you can't just appreciate both because of snobbery on either side, honestly, grow the fuck up if you are capable of it. It's a bit of a slight smokescreen at times, and I know because, hey, I've done it too. I'll probably continue to do it, but I'm talking about bloody movies. I do not discuss politics too much, although I have my opinions, which are always subject to change, and having an issue with certain politics just because the left is shouting about it. It's like, if the left were condemning serial killers, would you change your mind on that? Is the whole thing of British identity, oh, we were the good guys in World War II, we fought Nazi Germany to save the Jews, not because it was a rival empire encroaching upon us, we did it for totally moral and altruistic reasons, that wasn't just incidental, and so to be British is to just stick up for any Jewish individuals no matter what they may do. I don't even care about Israel being a Jewish state. I'm acting the same as if it was some hypothetical neo-crusader radical Catholic state committing this upon a neighboring peoples. The fact that Israel is a Jewish state should really not be relevant to a discussion upon its actions. We don't have to cite Saudi Arabia being a Muslim state before we choose to criticize or attack its actions, India being a Hindu nation, or even America being a, at least symbolically, Christian nation. What matters is one group is doing this to another group, and is beyond disgusting and quite potentially the greatest moral crime of my own lifetime, 1996 to present, regardless of whether the perpetrators of the evil have been historically the persecuted victims of religious or racial bigotry. Gaza Doctors Under Attack is a thorough journalistic record of the violence which the IDF has inflicted upon the hospitals of Gaza. Do tell, why is this okay? Is it worth destroying these hospitals even if Hamas tunnels are indeed underneath them, which there is really no substantial evidence of, but that is besides the point here. If any of the currently circulating journalistic works will have to mortify even those who are confusingly persisting in the notion that Hamas is worth waging an ultra-violent, uber-aggressive war against, it must be this one. Who thinks it is okay to just bomb hospitals even if those hospitals were in the territory or even operated upon the designated enemy? This event had been held at the Addison Road Community Centre in Marrickville. It was good to see many familiar and genuinely admired and appreciated noble faces there. The great Lizzie Jarrett, a First Nations activist, educator, poet, and warrior woman. She'd knock Wonder Woman, Carol Danvers, and Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force out. The very determined Ahmed Al-Abadallah, a co-founder of Palestine Justice Movement Sydney, as well as members of Solidarity and Stop the War of Palestine, and also Socialist Alliance, whom I consider very likeable and immensely kind people. More of an act of witness than an enjoyable sit-down of some escapism or cinematic compositional flair. I do suspect that this documentary will go down in history as one of the definitive attempts at distilling the grave crimes being committed in Gaza during this absolute low point in our species' recent history. There's no, actually about this. One government is in the wrong. Many powerful governments are backing it. Any crimes committed by Hamas can never justify what Israel has done in the aftermath of October 2023, and anyone who is disagreeing with this is doing so for very unusual and really superficial reasons. One based on a very bizarre performative display to defend Jewish people, even though large numbers of Jewish individuals are beyond disgusted by the Israeli governments. Governments. We're not talking about a group of people in any case. Actions in this excruciating time all based on a weird sympathy of ruthless iron boots power that is reminiscent of those who, in the mid to late 20th century, supported Rhodesia, apartheid South Africa, or the Protestant radical excesses in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. God bless Dr. Samar Jabbar and Dr. Sarah Abdo. I thank them from the bottom of my heart for granting us their presence at this quite unforgettable event. I will place a link where one can purchase Dr. Jabbar's book in the description, and I would encourage anyone in Sydney to keep an eye out for these events. You will find flyers for a number of very important screenings being handed out at the Sunday rallies at Hyde Park. The least you can do right now is to show your own solidarity and long-distance painful grieving for the people of Gaza. You don't have to stop spending money on meals you photograph for Instagram. You don't have to stop gaggling with your girlfriends about why you feel you're superior than most of the population, or from playing video games in the evenings, even of an often violent nature. But if you say you can't fit in some time to pay your respects to the suffering occurring in Gaza at this moment, I'm not sure that I really believe you. No.